Peacock, man, that's who I am. I don't even drive a van. I don't know what your name is. Oh, girl, that's your twirl. I don't know. Do a twirl? No, that's too much.
Stripey wipey.
Stripey wipey? Jesus. Hello and welcome to the Ghost Book Archive Chapter 4, and today's theme is all about superpowers. I'm Ryan, and as always, I am joined by Silver.
Hi.
So, Stripey Wipey?
Yeah, that's me.
Stripey Wipey and Peacock Command. There we go.
That sounds like a cool story. Let's write it.
Yeah, that is a good idea. We should just can this episode. Let's restart. Everything has to be all about Peacock Man and Stripey Wipey. It's like Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Who? I want to know about Peacock Man and Stripey Wipey. That's way better.
Yeah, that's the superheroes. Our superhero names.
Yeah, I like that. Before we were starting, you were asking me about this jacket. You're like, oh, I've never seen you wear this jacket. I'm like, the reason I actually have this jacket is because my sister used to go out with this guy. She went out with this guy and he was scared of peacocks. And so I thought it'd be hilarious if when I met him, I was wearing a peacock jacket. Because apparently he just was terrified of even the sight of peacocks. But I got this thing. And honestly, it doesn't look as bad on camera, but it's like really cheap and crap. And I was like, I'm not leaving the house wearing that thing. So instead, I just wore it in a couple of dumb videos, and that was the end of it. It was a waste of 60 quid or something. But
I think it looks good. Looks fine.
It doesn't go with anything though. There is nothing I could wear with this.
Just a normal shirt, like the black pants and the black shirt.
Maybe.
And
I'm just going for the unhinged look.
Yeah, good. Same.
Little top hat. A little cane. Anyway, superpowers. What? Okay, before we even get into that, if you had to choose a superpower, what superpower would you choose? What do you want?
Shapeshifting.
Shapeshifting. You've told me that before. That is a good superpower. That is.
Yep.
I feel like there's no downsides unless it hurts. Like, what if it hurts when you shapeshift?
I wouldn't care. I just want to be able to shapeshift.
Even if it really hurts, like your bones start to really hurt as they move and stuff.
Yeah, my bones already hurt, so it's fine.
They're going to hurt even more. And also, like, do the clothes come with the shapeshifting, or are you only changing the body?
I don't care. I just want to be something else sometimes. Just like
you just want to be something else.
Change into whatever, like a creature, like a bird and fly. And I could maybe like a bird. I can fly.
Okay, I thought you meant like a bird or a fly. Okay.
Well, a fly on the wall. I could be like spying.
You could. But then what if someone swats you? Bam.
Yeah, that would
more
be
stripey
awful.
wipey.
No, I'd have to hide well as a fly. Okay, what about you? Superpowered?
I always liked like teleportation, but it's also very scary because I always think too much about it. I'm like, what if I teleport to somewhere else and I end up like in a wall or just land somewhere horrible, or I'm at a certain altitude here in Scotland. What if I go somewhere at a lower altitude and suddenly I'm like too high and I fall to my death, or oops, I just launched my phone across the room, or I appear inside a mountain or something. Like it just sounds awful. It's too scary. So maybe I wouldn't do that. Maybe invisibility or mind reading. But again, mind reading, I'd be too scared because what if mind reading means I hear everyone? What if I'm a little antenna or something just taking in everyone's? I need to be able to pick and choose, or that would drive you insane. Super strength, I feel too much like, what if I accidentally break things or kill people? Also bad.
Yeah.
Super speed, I don't know. I feel invisibility works.
Okay, yeah. But like my thought is that if I can shapeshift, I can shapeshift into things that can do several things. So for example, I could be a chameleon, I could be sort of invisible, or super speed, I could be like a cheetah. So I could change it into things that have kind of different powers, which makes it more fun, I think.
That would work. I thought you were going along the line there. I thought you were going to say that, you could turn into someone who has other powers. I was going to say that's cheating. But no, that makes sense. No. You turn into an animal that's fast, or an animal that has this. Or you want super strength, you can be a gorilla.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can change it up a little and try different things.
I don't think there's any downsides to shapeshifting other than maybe it might hurt while you're doing it.
Yeah, but that's no stress.
Yeah, but
I can deal with that.
And you could, and if it really is that bad, you just choose, okay, I'm just not going to shapeshift.
Right? Like
Pretty
shapeshift
easy,
into
yeah.
something like another human or something, and you can stay that way for a while.
Yeah. Can
So
I
you don't
just
have to
choose
like
maybe like healing powers, regenerative healing, like
oh,
Wolverine or something? I just want to keep regenerating. That's what I'm going to choose.
that's very cool.
I'm going to choose that.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
I think are we ready? Are we going to start this? I'm excited. I'm excited to get into these haikus
Yeah.
first of all. So we've done
Mhm.
haikus, and they're about super villains. Was supposed to be the topic of our little haikus, and I will let you start. I'd like to hear your haiku.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
I feel like haikus are a bit hard to write because you have such limited
Mm-hmm.
amount of words, and you
You have
have
to
to
be
like
very
stay
careful.
within you have to stay within the amount of words.
Yeah, every word has to count.
Okay, I'll just read mine.
Okay.
Swallowing with strain, wrecking skin and peeling it, sharp stabs from big teeth.
Immediately, this feels very uncomfortable. My skin's like, so wrecking skin and peeling it, sharp stabs from teeth, swallowing with strain. I was all, is this some sort of beast creature supervillain, vampirish supervillain? They're swallowing something and they're peeling big teeth. Uh,
Mm.
what were you thinking here? What sort of thing are you thinking?
I was imagining like a supervillain that kind of has a power to maybe grow like teeth or his jaw maybe so he can
Yeah.
like eat people.
Wrecking havoc, like kind of
Mhm.
animalistic, huge teeth,
Yeah.
swallowing with strain. I love how everything, well, the first two lines especially are
Mhm.
very strenuous sounding, like they're not easy at all. Swallowing with strain. It's not just oh, swallow easy. There's
Mhm.
actually a primal horrific thing to it. If you
Mm.
watch a horror movie, if you watch a superhero thing, when you see someone, oh, they just sliced their head off, they're dead. That's never
Mhm.
actually, oh, it's done. It's kind of clean. Even though it's a horrible thing to happen, someone just lost their head, it's
Mhm.
clean. You don't really think much about it. But if
Mm.
it takes effort and you see it and it's hard and the blade goes through
Mm.
the thing and then it comes off, there's something
Yeah.
much more, there's a much more
Grotesque.
visceral, grotesque. Yeah, exactly. It's something,
Yeah.
yeah, it's much more evocative of certain things. So I
Mm.
really like that, the swallowing the strain line. And the wrecking
Thank
skin
you.
and peeling it was kind of similar as well. The wrecking the skin and the peeling it, just the peeling skin, it always, that always gets me. It's I've seen so many
Mm.
like people like share shock images and stuff, and it's like
Yeah.
people's at your fingernails and like people peeling the skin back and
Oh,
stuff.
I
And it's
hate that.
that's
Mm.
what I'm thinking of for some
Yeah.
reason. I know you're not thinking of that when you wrote that, but just any sort of peeling skin, it's kind of horrible.
Yeah, just
But
imagine
yeah,
like peeling off a layer of skin. It's like,
sharp stab,
ooh.
yeah, and sharp stabs kind of contrast those though, so it goes against what I was just saying. The other ones are kind
Mhm.
of hard effort, but then the sharp stabs, it's effortless. It's just just biting
Mm.
right in. I think the third line's probably my least favorite. But I
Yeah.
really really like your first two lines. I love those
Thank
first two lines.
you.
Yeah. So, any part of it specifically you were loving or didn't like about
I wrote this in maybe like 3 to 5 minutes.
it?
It
Yeah.
just I don't know.
Haikus are one of those things because again they're very few
Mhm.
words. You
Mhm.
can kind of write them fast. Maybe if you
Yeah.
spend a lot of time, you can improve the language a little bit. But I feel like you did
Yeah.
really well, especially those first two lines. They made me feel certain ways, and I think that was kind of the intention.
Thank you. Yeah, I kind of I'm I'm okay with it.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say that's maybe a little negative as well is it doesn't give me quite supervillain vibes. It gives me more
Yeah.
maybe horror vibes, or I mean,
True.
it could still be supervillain, obviously, because it's
Yeah.
quite a vague term. Like you could have all sorts of supervillains, but it makes me think
Mhm.
more about something like a vampire or a werewolf or some
Mhm.
other sort of creature monster from horror. But I just still like it
True.
either way. But that's just when I read it.
Mm.
Supervillain isn't what I quite thought.
Yeah, I always lean a bit towards like horror or like the more eerie or creepy vibes, even
Yeah,
if it's like another type of story. For the myths, I also had like some sort of like creepy vibes to
yeah, you did.
uh, some of the
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just your
Anyways,
style, and I like it. So good, nice
thank you.
haiku. Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I want to hear yours.
Nice. Okay. So it didn't take me very long to write mine either. Maybe a little bit longer, 10, 15 minutes or something. Contemptible soul, dastardly wrath approaches, precipice of doom. I love the word dastardly.
Mm,
I was just so intent on putting that in there. I was
dastardly.
like, I want dastardly. Dastardly sounds like a supervillain. The supervillains are dastardly. I want that word in there.
Ah, no, I like that. I write like that sometimes too, like basing everything of one word. Not like I
Yeah, one
need that
word or
word.
one phrase, or you have one
Yeah.
specific thing in your mind. You're like, I need to fit it in somewhere. I don't
Mhm.
care what I'm sacrificing. That's going in somewhere.
Mhm.
I get that. I totally relate.
No, you always have very cool choices of words. I've said that a lot, but it's true. And you have like three very eye-catching words in here. It's the contemptible and
Yeah,
dastardly
literally the first word of each line.
and
Contemptible,
precipice.
dastardly, precipice. Yeah.
Or
Those are
precipice
three
is
good
also a good
words.
word. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
And it just sets the mood and the vibe. And you can like try and it's more like vague. You can try and imagine what kind of super villain
Yeah.
this is. Like
Yeah. You can
doom,
tell there's
very,
something,
very yeah.
yeah, something evil's coming. There's something
Hmm.
going to happen, but we don't really know the details. So you can
Hmm.
imagine what you want.
No, that's very cool.
Because I was, to be honest, I was struggling a little bit with the supervillain thing again. I was
Hmm.
trying to think of how do I get across that this is a supervillain. I only have 3 lines to do this. I mean,
Yeah.
575. It's not.
Hmm.
How do I get across what I'm trying to say? I wrote the first two. Originally, it wasn't even like this. It was totally different, and I wrote the first two
Hmm.
lines, and suddenly I'm thinking, wait a minute, I've written 2 lines, and there is no sense of like this being about a supervillain or anything. It was so off point. I had to scrap it and go back to the drawing board and start again. Especially
Hmm.
the last poem I did a couple episodes back with a gnome one. It was such a long poem, so it had so much room to fit in what I wanted,
Yeah.
and so it's a bit easier when you're not constrained to that amount of syllables. It becomes sometimes a little hard. I was pulling out a thesaurus. I was trying to look at synonyms for certain words
Hmm.
just to try and find a certain word that meant what I had already written, but in a
Hmm.
different number of syllables to match
Hmm.
it up. And that's what actually I spent the longest doing rather than actually
Yeah.
writing it, just finding other words that would kind of fit in.
True. Yeah. What was hard with this is like conveying the message that this is a supervillain because
Yeah.
of the short amount of words. But mine seemed more like a horror type of beast, you know,
Mm.
and yours seemed more like vague, more like an explanation of events rather than like a being.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I was almost getting when I wrote it, I was almost getting vibes of maybe like some apocalyptic sort of
Hmm.
event rather than an actual superhero. It could have been the end of the world, like maybe an asteroid's coming down to break into the Earth, or aliens are invading. I don't know, but
Ooh,
it seemed more like
aliens.
doomsday to me rather than superhero. So maybe we
True.
we both failed maybe a little in conveying the super villain aspect,
Yeah, but
even though our haikus are still decent.
without using the words supervillain or like superpower, how would you
Mm.
convey that message?
I was originally thinking to maybe use words like hero and maybe write
Mhm.
about a hero that had just been defeated. I was thinking about
Mm.
having a haiku about this supervillain has just defeated a hero. And so the
Mhm.
thing would have been about him looking down on the hero. He's about to just end this hero's life or something. So I would have used
Mm.
maybe the words hero and foiled and stuff like that to try and convey that some superhero has been finally defeated. But that's when I actually scrapped it because I realized I didn't have enough words to write what I was trying to write. I didn't have enough
Mm.
space for that. So I ended up with what I got. But I think both our haikus are
Mhm.
still decent. No, I was happy with
Yeah.
how it ended up, and yours was really good as well. So
Mhm. Thanks.
we we missed the theme a little bit, but they were still good.
I don't think we missed the theme. Like we just had like a more of a vague type of description
Yeah,
instead of like
I'm just being extra
outright
harsh.
saying, "Yeah, you're being harsh."
True. So, our stories this week, we had the task of writing a story about someone with unusual superpowers, and our word limit was about 1,000 words. Between 800 to 1,000 was what we were kind of going for. And am I going to start this time, or yeah,
Yep,
you did the poem for. I'm going to start this time. So
go for it.
I'm quite excited to read this one.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear.
It's a little silly. Where did he go? He definitely came in here. Then where the hell is he? There's no other way out. The storage room was tight, packed with cardboard boxes, filing cabinets, and not much else. The two thugs could not make sense of how they had suddenly lost track of their victim, a young man named Amir. Amir's heart raced as he got to his feet, doing his best to compose himself. He was alone in the room. It had been at least 15 minutes since those thugs had chased him, so he reckoned he was likely safe now. For the first time in his life, he felt somewhat proud of his abilities. "What's it like?" asked Miriam, a strange and bubbly young girl with bright colored hair. "Huh?" Amir scratched his head. "When you change, what does it feel like?" Amir didn't know how to answer that. The truth was, he didn't feel much at all when he transformed. He couldn't see or hear anything, not even darkness. It wasn't as if cardboard boxes had eyes or ears. No, when Amir transformed, he simply wasn't. "Isn't it scary?" asked Hugo, an overly thin man with a patchy handlebar mustache. He was the oldest one there, and by quite a wide margin. Despite appearing friendly, Amir couldn't help but be a little creeped out while his big beady eyes were locked on him. "Let's not be too invasive," butted in Jordan, the leader of the support group. "Let's all bear in mind that this is Amir's first time sharing. It's not every day we get a newbie sharing on their first day." Amir appreciated Jordan's intervention. He really hadn't even intended on sharing anything yet, but Jordan had put him at ease earlier after opening the session with a story of his own. Amir had always been ashamed of his worthless and embarrassing superpower. In a world filled with people who could carry buildings on their backs, fly, read minds, and control the weather, Amir had been cursed with the measly ability to transform into a box. It all seemed so unfair to him, but when Jordan spoke of his own powers, it made Amir feel less awful. Jordan had the ability to toast bread, any piece of bread, whether it was sourdough, whole grain, or even ciabatta. Jordan could toast it almost instantly, just using his mind. At first, Amir thought that at least he might have a good career in the breakfast industry, but that was before Jordan explained that the bread didn't warm when he toasted it. Was there really a market for cold toast? Probably not. "Miriam, would you like to share something with us today?" asked Jordan. "Sure," Miriam smiled. Amir thought she looked overly joyful to be part of the group. Everyone else looked so dour, and for good reason. "Hi, I'm Miriam." "Hi, Miriam," the full group spoke back in unison. "As most of you know, Bindi was having some problems with a cat. She's been really frightened for a while now, and this past weekend, things got even worse." Miriam's expression sank, and her eyes dropped to the floor. Audible gasps were heard around the room while Miriam seemingly tried to hold back tears. "Fortunately, I was there, and I saved her just in time. I decided to chase the cat to find out where it came from. It ran into my neighbor's house. I knocked on the door, and when my neighbor answered, Amir was on the edge of his seat. He had no idea who Bindi was or the context of the story, but Miriam's intense display of emotion had his heart invested. "I take your time," Jordan spoke softly, and Miriam wiped moisture from her eyelids. "I saw whiskers on her face." The entire room gasped loudly. "My neighbor Helen, who I've known for years. I thought she was a telepath, but no, she's actually a shapeshifter." Miriam looked up at Amir for a moment. "Though I'm not sure she can turn into a cardboard box. I only know about the cat." There was silence for a while. "Okay, I'm done." "That's rough," said Jordan. "Thanks for sharing, Miriam." "Thanks for sharing," the room repeated in unison. "Yes, Amir?" asked Jordan, noticing that Amir had raised his hand slightly above his head. "Not to be rude, but I just wondered if I could ask." "We don't normally do that, Amir," Jordan interrupted him. "It's okay," Miriam spoke up. "What is it?" Uh, who is Bindi?" Amir shuffled in his seat a little. "Oh, I guess you wouldn't know," Miriam giggled, swinging her legs under her chair. "Bindi is my friend. She's a snail." A snail? That's my power. I can talk to snails." Amir was quiet for a moment as he gathered his thoughts. "This is maybe weird to ask, but my grandma actually has a slug infestation in her kitchen right now. Would it be possible to—" "No!" Miriam was abrupt. "Only snails. No slugs." I thought slugs were just snails without homes. That's a filthy lie, Miriam screamed, leaping out of her chair. Amir was sure she was about to wallop him. Miriam, Jordan intervened. Please calm down. Sorry, Amir muttered. It's all right. Miriam's tone quickly switched from rage to sickly sweet. She sat back down and smiled at Jordan. I think that's enough questions for today, Jordan sighed. Who would like to share next? Oh, me, called out Hugo. Very well, Hugo. The floor is yours. Hi, I'm Hugo. Hi, Hugo, the group spoke. I can taste things just by looking at them, and you'll never believe what I saw yesterday.
Oh my god.
You were
Oh
laughing a
my
lot.
god. Yeah, that was funny as fuck. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I was happy with
Oh
that.
my god. I almost like I expected something more serious, but when you the box just killed me. The
Yeah,
cardboard box and the toaster, toast bread,
the human
the piece
toaster.
of bread. That was so funny. And I really love the like idea that they're in like a support group and just talking about like their struggles with their powers.
Yeah, that's the idea I had. I went to bed one night the other night and I was laying in bed
Mhm.
and I just got the idea. I was like, that's
Mhm.
it. I'm going to write, it's going to be a support group that's filled with basically my idea was this entire world that I'm writing this in. Basically, everyone has superpowers. It's a
Yeah.
world where everyone has superpowers,
Mhm.
but there's this little support group because there are some people with awful superpowers.
Oh,
And so this
yeah.
is a support group for everyone who
Mhm.
has superpowers that are essentially useless. Like talking,
Yeah.
and not just talking to animals, talking to snails,
Snails.
not just shapeshifting into a cardboard box.
Wow.
Not just having like heat powers, but you can
Mhm.
toast bread, but it's cold when you toast it. Being able to taste things when you look at
Mhm.
them, like I just thought that was just
Such a good
silly
idea.
powers. Yeah, and honestly, I feel like there's so much I could do with this. I would love to take this same
Mhm.
thing and turn it into a little script and just make this into a
Yeah.
little skit. Like this could be
That
an
would be
easy,
so fun.
and it'd be so easy to do as well because none of the powers really need to be seen. It's just kind of talk about it, and it'd be
Mhm.
so easy, so low budget. I feel like I could easily make this into a little short film, expand it a little bit,
Yeah.
add a couple of other scenes. But yeah,
Mhm.
I really enjoyed this. As soon as I had the idea, I was like, I know I'm writing it all down, and I think I did it
Mhm.
within an hour and a half or something. But I enjoyed it a lot.
Mhm. You're so good at writing like more of the comedy type of stories or like just very like witty stories. I've said that
Mm.
before, but like it's always
When it gets
like
a little
it
silly.
grasps you. You get really into it and just want to hear more. Always want to hear
Mm.
more.
Well, thank you. I did. I had so that might be the
Mhm.
story so far out of everything we've written in the podcast. That's
Mhm.
probably the one I've had the most fun with. I had a lot of fun writing
Oh,
that. I
that's
really liked.
great.
Yeah, yeah, I liked that a lot.
I want to know how do you come up with like all the names and like the characters, personalities and stuff?
I don't know. I just start thinking what's a good name. So for
Mhm.
originally it was Amir I was writing. So I was writing his little intro when he was running away from
Mhm.
these thugs. And originally I was going to expand it a little more, but if I had, this would have gone way too long. But I was sitting there and think, what could I call this guy? And I don't know
Mhm.
why, but Amir just popped into my head. That was I thought, that fits. And I just went with it. And then and then I was trying to think of a name for some girl to be talking to him in the support group. And I don't know, Miriam's the first thing that came to mind as well. I didn't sit there for a long time thinking, oh, what should I call them? It was
Mhm.
just very much thinking, oh, I usually try to go with non generic names. Like I don't tend to use
Mhm.
like Jordan is pretty generic, but that's like
True.
but Jordan's probably the most generic name I've used here.
True.
The rest of them aren't that common, I would say. Not like not in Scotland anyway. But
Yeah.
I don't name people John and Mary usually. But I think sometimes names can also come with certain vibes to them.
Mhm.
And
Very
so
true.
sometimes I have an idea about what the character is like, and then I think about a name because of that. So if
Mhm.
it's someone who's maybe sophisticated or something, then I'll be thinking of something fancy like Cornelius or something. I don't know, but I start thinking along those sort of lines. Jordan being the support group leader, I thought he was probably the most normal-ish of all the people there, so I wanted to give him a normal name.
Yeah.
That's probably why I would have
Mhm.
put that. And then Hugo was kind of like a bit of a strange name, and so I
I
thought I'll
love
give
that
that to
name.
the strange older man. I thought that was good for him. But yeah, I don't really have a specific method coming up with names. It's a long way of getting to that point, but I don't have a lot of methods for it. But
You're also I just have to say you're also very good at like conveying your story when you read it out loud. And you gave like the different people like voices and stuff, and that's like really, really cool.
yeah, I like to do that just to make sure it's clear who's speaking, and I think it
Yeah,
gives some
very
more
smart.
emphasis. I think with
Mhm.
dialogue, it's just kind of important sometimes, especially if I don't have a dialogue tag sometimes next to it. So, like,
Mhm.
there's a part here, and one of the I don't know how easy it is you'll find this, but there was silence for a while, and then okay, I'm done, and then after that, it's just the next person talking, saying that's
Mhm.
rough, and sometimes if you're not looking at it, reading yourself, you might end up combining those two in your head. So for
Mhm.
listeners, if they're not looking at this, they're going to think,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'm done. That's rough." How do they know that's a separate person speaking?
Mhm.
Because
True.
there was no tag. It wasn't "Okay, I'm done," said Miriam. It was just "Okay,
Mhm.
I'm done," and then moves on. So
Yeah.
it's kind of I feel like it was important to put on a little bit of a voice just to make sure that it's obvious those are different, so no one gets
Mhm.
confused.
You could totally read like books for like Audible or something.
Well, I've considered doing that for my own fantasy novels.
Yeah, you
Because I
should do
have two I
that.
could do that, but it's so much effort, honestly. It's so much effort to do that. So much
Yeah, I
effort.
can imagine. Like not just reading like a short story, but reading like an entire book.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
Yeah, you're
Imagine
talking
me having to do that.
when you're talking like 130, 140,000 words,
Mm,
it becomes quite a task. Especially
yeah.
if you have to go out and probably rent a studio space to do it as well, recording studio and get through it all.
Mhm.
I think if I ever did that sort of thing, I would probably because the way my books are structured, it's various point of view characters. I'd
Yeah.
probably want someone different doing each point of view character. I would want a different actor for each point of view. So I'd probably just do one or maybe even two of them, but with different voices. I don't think I
Mhm.
would be very good at. I wouldn't want to take one of the female characters and do a whole chapter everything with this girl who's maybe got supposed to have a high pitched voice, and I'm just going, "Hello,
Hello.
hello,
The cat
hello,
is saying hi.
cat." Yes, hello. Okay, stripey wipey, I'm ready to hear your story.
Yeah.
Story worry for stripey wipey.
So I went in a very different direction than you did, and you probably expected that because we have kind of different styles. Mine's like, okay, I'm not gonna talk too much about it before reading it. I'm just gonna read it, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
My story is called The Lighthouse. On the very top of the lookout, he could see everything. So high up, the deadly waves seemed small, the crashing against the boulders below faint compared to the rather glaring wind. The storm was rattling the windows of the old lighthouse as if it just might shatter them. He had a fragrant cup of tea in his hand, tapping his foot softly on the wooden floor as he took in the view laid out in front of him. A sense of stillness and calm taking over, despite the rattling, creaks and croaks. He had utter peace of mind, for he was in complete solitude. The gale and sea could not scar him. Whenever he thought of the words pain or agony, it was never of the physical kind. The pain wrecking his spirit, gobbling up all of his vitality, was human beings. Creatures that always find a way to weasel their way into your life, like pests infesting your space. His former job appeared to others as easy, the calm life of a librarian, surrounded by literature, though the work he often did had nothing to do with renting out books, nor stamping back pages. He was an unusual reviewer of these stories, one who read books not to escape the world, but to vividly experience it. His senses would heighten, feeling every emotion as vividly as the author intended them. He wanted a break from the impacts of others' emotions, convoluting his own. He needed to be near his dearest, the sea, the waves, and the gulls, the calm of the salty scents, shores, and soft sand. The sea did not feel, it simply existed, falling and cresting. The ocean felt more humane than any person he had ever faced. He dreaded having to open another book in his life, or to have another soul invade his force field of an aura. The first rat skull he'd collected was broken, cracked in the middle, now at the top of his work desk along with bird skeletons and feathers. A compass speckled with a layer of dust laid near the resourceful decorations he'd collected. The large radio in the middle of the desk was constantly turned on, the ships communicating their passage through the Gulf. He trimmed the wicks and lit the oil lamp, a scent he treasured, his reminder that night was approaching. The argent reflections of the sun dimmed, and he'd no longer have to squint through the binoculars. The large light on top of the building providing just the right amount of light. His brother would come to mind when ships passed in the distance, hoping the waves would carry on his well wishes. The wind howled, resonating through the cylinder of a building. His cup of tea had turned icy, and he was famished, still not in a hurry to get up from the comfort of his chair. In the stormy night, a light flickered from the shoreline, the smallest of boats navigating the crushing waves. He shot up, knees wobbling at the quick pace in which he stood to his feet, grasping tightly at his binoculars, breath picking up as the sea sent the boat leaping. He had no time. The rowboat forcefully collided with the shoreline boulders. He stuffed his feet into green and yellow rain boots a second before racing down the spiral stairs, gasping for air by the time he slammed the door open, greeted by sideways rain and a howling scream down by the craters. His lashes could barely hold the weight of the droplets splashing onto his face, nothing but a thin shirt on with his rain boots. The sea roared as he helplessly watched a woman struggle to her death, washed too far away with nothing to hold on to, disappearing underneath a rush of fresh waves. The sea had gone mad with anger. Up close, it wasn't any longer the peaceful friend he'd sought so desperately. The screaming continued, and he noticed another person near the boat's carcass, a man holding on for dear life, grasping at a sharp stone slab. The pressure around his temple caused him to stumble forward. With heavy steps, he found footing on the boulders, stretching as far down as he could to grasp the man's forearm, pulling until his cheeks burst into red hues. The man nearly cost him his life, grasping onto him so acutely he almost lost his balance and sent them both into the depths. With no clue how, he accomplished hauling them both to flat ground. The larger man he'd just saved looked around with feverish eyes, searching, his soul lost and drained by the fury of the waters. He sobbed into the grass, as at last he understood the woman he held dear had been taken away. This was why he couldn't stand people, why he'd sworn them off and put away books forever, never to pick one up again for the rest of his time. "Where is my wife?" the man roared towards the sky. His throat tightened, holding back tears of his own. These horrific emotions, which he hoped he never had to feel again. Pure despair. The man stayed in his sleeping chamber for the next few days, not coming out, barely speaking a word. The shock knocking everything clean out of the man, every emotion, every desire, all will to live. After a week of scarcely a meal, he came out of the room to mutter a thank you, head low, clearly recounting the events in his head every waking hour. The five orange boys bobbed up and down through his binoculars. Later in the evening, he took the first deep breath of the week, sighing into his hands. He felt it. From the room, something had let go. The warmth of the coffee he prepared for the man a minute ago lingered, a warmth he didn't realize he missed. Something close to happiness. His trajectory ever changed as the man guided him with emotions towards his own true feelings, learning that the sensations he felt from others could be separated from his own.
Very interesting. Very. What was that? What was that? What was that hand gesture? Very moody.
Bravo.
A very moody piece. It definitely. Yeah, it is your style for sure. I could just all those. No, all the descriptions. It was just very atmospheric. It definitely. As I say, every time you write something like this, I always say, I feel like I was there. I can sense it. I can feel it because you describe everything so well, and
Thank you.
I can genuinely get a feel for what's going on here. And
Mm.
you were doing a little bit more of that sort of internal stuff there as well. This time you were
Yeah.
talking about. So what exactly is this guy's power? I'm getting he's like in tune with feelings and emotion. You were saying when he was reading the book, it
hmm
was kind of I thought it was a little bit vague, but which I kind of liked. Um,
hmm
but he was reading the book and he was very much feeling what the authors had intended. So
hmm
he's feeling emotions or feelings that have kind of been
hmm
transferred as how would you describe what his power actually is?
sort of like he adopts other people's emotions like as his own. Um,
Mhm.
like he can feel the exact
Yeah.
emotions
Like
of
an
other
extreme
people.
empath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
extreme
Yeah,
empath.
like yeah,
So,
to the max. Yeah, that's
mhm,
what I was kinda that's what I thought it was. I just
mhm.
wanted to be sure exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
But
glad you got that
yeah.
because I did know it was pretty vague, but I kind of like writing that way, so I
Yeah,
just let
I
it
I thought
be.
it fit very well for this story as well. This
Mhm,
guy's living total solitude almost away from the world in a
mhm,
lighthouse, which is a lighthouse is a very good sort of place to have it. And I like as
mhm,
well when you get superhero stories that aren't just, your usual type of superhero stuff. This was totally unconventional. If this was a
mhm,
movie, for example, or a book, you wouldn't call it a
mhm.
superhero movie or book. Probably
True.
someone's got a superpower, but it's not a superhero story in that traditional sense. And I like that. I
Yeah.
like that it goes in a different direction rather than just be that traditional way. So I really liked it in that sense, and I liked
Thank
again
you.
the really moody atmosphere of it. And I got the power thing from the near the start when you were talking about the book you
Mhm,
was reading. That's when I first kind of clicked on, and
mhm,
also, your last line kind of confirmed that learning that
mhm,
the sensations he felt from others could be separated from his own. So
mhm.
that's him coming to a realization about how to control his own power and how to
Right.
separate what he's feeling. So that did
Mhm.
confirm it for me. I just when I was asking, I just wanted to be sure about what the power actually was, but I did think
Yep,
that's what it was.
you
But
were
yeah,
correct.
yeah. But I did like that. I liked the whole thing, and I think that works very well as a short story on its own. I feel like it's a
Yes.
very good thing that it's I mean, you could write more obviously, but I feel like it works very, very well. That 1,000 words, just really good, really
Mhm.
atmospheric.
Thanks.
The atmosphere is probably the number one thing I think here for this. The atmosphere is just very, very good. Just describing the rattling and stuff and the rocks and the waves and all that sort of stuff. You're always great at that stuff, but you did it here
Thank
again.
you.
And then even the scene where he's going down to try and help the woman he thinks is drowning, and then he finds that there's actually a man as well, and it's
Mhm,
the man's wife's now dead. That was kind of awful,
mhm.
but
Yeah.
but awful things happen. Wouldn't be
Yeah.
superheroes. Awful things always have to happen when it's
Yeah.
superpowers involved. But
True.
I did like, it. And I liked as well that that his superpower itself didn't even really. That's not what saved anyone. It was just a guy who was genuinely trying to help, and it was no, he was just doing a nice thing, and he was trying to be good, and he was trying to help, and that's how he
Mhm,
saved that man.
mm,
Obviously, he didn't save the wife, but it, I would have expected. So you kind of turned it on its head. I was almost expecting there to be some way him using a power to save people, but he didn't,
mhm,
and I liked that you kind of subverted those expectations, and it was more that the power was something he was dealing with. It wasn't something that was
mhm,
impacting other people. It wasn't something that was saving people or
mm.
causing problems. It was something that he was very internally dealing with. And that's we've
Yeah.
spoken before because I tend to go the internal route, whereas you go the external route. Whereas I think
Mhm,
you did well this time of doing your usual external stuff, but you also
mhm,
added in that other aspect of the internal stuff where you don't
mhm.
normally go that route. So it was nice to see you branch out with that specific power, which was a very internal one.
Yeah. True. Well, I kind of thought a lot about how to make this superpower sort of like a unique one because
Mm.
the theme for this was to like write about an unusual or like a special
Yeah, just
superpower, right?
unusual.
Unusual,
Yeah,
and I didn't want it to be like too much of a superpower or like a superhero
yeah.
vibe, I
You kept it
guess.
very grounded. You kept it kind of. It wasn't like no one was flying around. No one was super strength. It was something. It was a very slight thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking because an unusual power could just be someone like in this normal world
Mm.
having a little bit extra of something.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Have you ever seen the film? What's it called? Unbreakable.
No,
That's quite good. It's a trilogy. There's Unbreakable, and then there's Split, and then there's Glass.
split.
Yeah, Split's a part. That's the one. It's James McAvoy is the main guy, and he plays a
I don't know what
character.
that is.
It's got like this personality. He's got like I don't know 30 personalities, and they're all different characters. And he kidnaps a
Oh.
girl. It's Anya Taylor Joy.
Yeah, I think I've heard about
Yeah.
it
So
or
anyway,
something.
that
Wait, I gotta.
it turned out to be a secret sequel to the movie Unbreakable.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Yeah. So Unbreakable was the original, and then it's split. But it turns out this guy, it's you think it's just he's got mental health issues. He's got this what is it, dissociative identity disorder, or whatever it's called, and he's
Mhm.
split, changing between these things. But then at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, you actually discover that there's more to it. There's a supernatural element, and one of his other identities is actually something I think it's called the Beast, and he turns into like an animalistic thing that's like got superpowers and super strength, and he can crawl on walls. And the movie before that,
Ah.
Unbreakable, is it's the guy Bruce Willis, and he turns out he's a superhero. He didn't know he was a superhero, but basically like he had never been ill in his life, and he's like unbreakable. That's why he's called. And there's another guy in the third film's called Glass, and it's Samuel L. Jackson's character, but he's basically
Mm.
got bones that are glass, like he just breaks so easily. But he's got like a
Oh.
super powered brain. But it's all things. All the powers aren't anything super unrealistic. Well,
Mhm.
I'm saying not super unrealistic. I just said a guy turns into a beast, so I'm talking a lot of crap. But
Is the
the
guy who has the glass bones, is that Samuel?
yeah,
I love him.
yeah, he was quite good
Because
in that.
we have the I feel a connection because we have the same initials. SLJ.
Perfect. I forgot why I
Mhm.
was bringing up this film now. There was a reason. I think it was
Because
th-
it's
yeah,
superpowers.
they're a bit more grounded though, is what I was trying to say. They're not
Yeah.
just it's not straight up just these people have super strength and they're
Mhm.
flying around. It does get
Yeah.
a bit more like far fetched as it goes on, but they're
Mhm.
very grounded feeling. Technically superhero movies, but they
Yeah.
feel much more grounded. And
Mhm.
I kind of like those vibes. It's just a little bit
Like,
different.
it's where you kind of slip into fantasy sometimes with the superhero
Yeah,
things. Other times it's more like uh, sci-fi,
yeah.
I guess. More like,
Well, the difference really, I guess, sci-fi is stuff that's done with technology and science. So it's stuff that
mhm,
it could potentially be believable if someone invented that
mhm,
technology or whatever.
right.
But yeah, a lot of superhero stuff is just too over the top. Whereas, yeah, I like your
Right.
grounded. I liked your grounded approach,
Mhm.
and I like it when I do see media where it's a bit more grounded as well. It gives it a totally different thing. That's why, for example, I mean, I know one of your favorite superheroes is Daredevil, and
Yeah.
There's a Daredevil show, fantastic, the Netflix show, probably the best
Yeah.
superhero show I think. But what I really like about it is it's very grounded. Like
Mhm.
no one's that insane. Like Kingpin's pretty strong. He's
Mhm.
kind of got like super strength and stuff, but no
Mhm.
one's do flying or anything like that. And it's his
Yeah.
powers. He's just very heightened senses. He's not reading
Mhm.
people's minds. It's very much grounded. It's still obviously there's the
Yeah.
fantasy element because there are basically superpowers, but it's
Yeah.
very grounded, and that's what I like about it. I like how grounded it
Same.
is.
I
We're,
also like that type of show where it's like not fully super like crazy like Marvel usually are
mm,
with their main like movies,
mm,
but their shows are often more like uh toned down, like it's
yeah.
more about the people and what they experience around it and how they decide to help people.
Yeah, the Marvel Netflix shows were all really good for that. And I think
So good.
it kind of sucked when you get all the Disney Marvel Netflix shows because they kind of
Yeah.
went the opposite direction. It's all flashy and over the
Yeah.
top and too much comedy in them, and like
Yeah.
they're all over the place.
I didn't like a lot of them. I didn't like Loki at all. And
Mm,
I did like Moon Knight because that was kind of different
yeah.
to the other types of show they usually do.
I didn't mind Loki. I thought Loki was all right, and I thought Moonlight was all right as well. But
Hmm.
most of the other ones I was not really a fan. I thought WandaVision started all right because it was really
Yeah.
different, but by the end I was just fed up with it.
Yeah, it sort of got old. I mean, uh, I liked that they were trying something new.
Yeah.
It was so unique. Like I have never seen anything like it. But at the same time, it was kind of boring. Like
Mm. Yeah,
too
so
much happening at once.
Yeah, sometimes it's. I know a lot of people dropped One Division early on. I know
Mhm.
because they were watching it. They're like, why am I watching a sitcom? Why am I watching this crap? I know lots of people who
Yeah,
dropped it, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, keep giving it a chance because it gets
yeah.
better around here when you find out
Mhm,
the mystery." And I mean that was
mm,
true, and I didn't think the first few episodes were horrible,
yeah.
but yeah, again, I agree. I like when they do something different, just as and to
Mhm,
come back to bring it back to the writing instead of getting off track with
mhm.
all these shows. But I like that you kind of did that little bit different take on the superhero thing, kind of bringing it down, grounding it a bit more. I liked what I did as well, but I think mine was
Mhm,
maybe a bit more predictable because it was I made it kind of comedic and funny and silly,
mhm.
but it was still
Yeah.
probably maybe along the lines of what you would expect from what we were writing, whereas you toned it down a bit and made it a bit more grounded, which I really liked.
No, but, even if, like, it's expected, like, that you write about, like, a universe that people have superpowers, I
Yeah.
think that the thing that made your story so good is that you used the sort of, like, support group
Yeah.
setting,
Yeah. Yeah.
that truly made it so funny and unique, I feel like.
Yeah. I could have kept writing about that for so long. I had loads of
Mhm,
ideas for other characters I could have thrown in there as
mhm,
well, but I didn't have enough space. So like that is genuinely one I might take and do something
mhm.
with later. I would love to turn that, as I said earlier, into some screenplay and make a short film out of that.
Please do,
Because I
please do.
yeah, I could length I could, like, triple the length of that, and instead of
Mhm,
just having them tell these experiences, I could have, like, when Miriam was talking about the cat trying to eat the snail, I could have the cut to the scene of it happening maybe instead. I don't know,
mhm.
but that's something to think about another time.
True.
Yeah. So is there anything else you wanna say about your story? So you were happy with this one, yeah?
Yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
happy with this one. This was sort of one of the easiest ones to write
Mm.
compared to the other episodes we've filmed. This one really just
Yeah. I
felt
felt that as
good
well.
to write. Hmm.
Yeah, I felt definitely this whole episode, everything I wrote, it just
Hmm.
flowed right out of me. It just came out so easy.
Right.
And as soon as
Same
I had the
here.
idea, I was like, oh, and I was excited to write it as well. Some of the times, like we
Same.
did the crime one last week, and
Hmm.
I didn't feel excited to write that. Once I
Same.
started writing it, I got better, like as we were spoke about in that episode, but
Hmm.
I wasn't excited to write it. Whereas this one,
Yeah.
I had the idea and I was
Hmm.
oh, I can't wait to write this down. I was so that's when you know you're going to have fun. That's when you know you're going to be happy with it
Hmm.
when you're actually excited about what you're
Hmm.
about to do.
Yeah, that's when it comes out good as well.
So
I
maybe
feel
that's something we
like.
have to think about more in future is maybe try and focus a bit more on specific prompts or topics that we get more excited to write. And don't just do
Yeah.
something because oh, we need to write about robots this week because we've not done robots yet and we couldn't think of anything else. But instead, maybe even revisit
Mhm.
other themes with a slightly different prompt just
Yeah,
because we
you
want to
could
be a
do
bit more
that.
excited to do it because and I'm not saying that needs to
Mhm.
be every time, but because we should mix things up and do things we're not
Yeah.
comfortable with as well. But
Mhm.
it's maybe a better thing if we're more excited to write it. And I think we'll do better work every
Mm,
time if we do that.
I agree. Cause like, last episode, crime is not truly my calling, it's not what I usually write.
Hmm. Yeah.
Even though I can, like, uh, put, like, crime-ish, parts into
Hmm.
stories, I don't like just writing crime. So that was a struggle for me, and I did like trying it out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm more in tune with, like, the theme superheroes. It just feels more fun, and you can do, like, a lot with it.
It feels more creative. It feels like it's
Yeah.
a more like big idea. Whereas
Mhm.
crime, I don't know. Crime feels again. That's actually because it comes back to crime is already grounded. Crime's already grounded.
True.
So to make it even more grounded, you can't really do that. If anything, you
Mhm.
have to go the opposite direction and maybe make it
Yeah.
silly, which is maybe something that we could have tried. I didn't even think of that
Mhm.
until now. Whereas the superhero thing, you can take that huge big vague idea and you can do whatever you want with it. You can make it more grounded if you want. You can leave it big and you can there's no rules really. You can do whatever you want. Crime's a
Right.
little harder.
I agree.
Yeah.
But are we gonna do a game?
I think we are. We're going to move on
Yeah.
to a little game. a little fun game. I don't know why Ben's
Little
talking right
game.
now. Yeah, I don't know why Ben's in here. Ben, leave me
Ben
alone. I'm trying to record this podcast episode. Thank you.
from Umbrella Academy.
Not that. No, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, good. I mean, you're
Mm,
keeping on point with the superhero, the superpowers thing at
mhm.
least. So I need to watch that new season. I forgot it came out.
Oh,
Anyway,
same. I haven't
yeah,
seen it yet.
yeah, same. I think it's only 6 episodes. Maybe it's 8. I don't remember. It's not very many.
Mm.
But more importantly, we're about to move on to a little game. Okay, so for this game, what we're going to do is we have both come up with sort of a superpower little scenario for each other, and we're going to give that to each other, and then we're going to have a 5 minute timer to work out how we would personally deal with whatever that thing is. And so, if anyone watching wants to join in, you can choose either or both of the scenarios we give out here and just write them down, set your timer, and also join in. And you can share your results on our Discord server or in the comments on YouTube if you're watching the podcast over there. So, do you want to hear yours first, or are you telling me mine?
You can say it first.
Your scenario is about shapeshifting. So
Ooh.
someone has shapeshifted into you, an exact copy of you. They have all of your memories that come with it. So they know everything about you. They have all of your memories. They are literally an exact copy of you when they've morphed into you. And now they
Ooh.
have turned up at your mum's house claiming to be you and is trying to take over your life. How do you get out of that situation and prove that you're the real you? Or get
Wow,
or
that's
get rid of
so
that person, I
good.
guess. So that's
Kill
your little
them.
scenario. Well, maybe, but that's your
um.
thing to write. So what's
Okay.
mine?
Yeah. Wow. That was a good idea. Okay. Mine is this superhero is named Stripey Wipey,
Okay.
and they make all clothes into stripy patterns. So everything gets stripy. You don't have anything you could say about that. Everything turns stripy. What would you do?
That's horrific. That's terrorism. That is
Right.
terrorism right there, folks. She's been so cruel. I gave her such a nice little thing, and now you're. I don't even want to think about this, but okay. I can.
Mm,
I will deal with this. Absolute travesty. 3, 2, 1, go. This is hard.
hmm So hard. I don't know what the fuck to do about this doppelganger. How do you even do anything about that? You just have to kill them, right?
Is there any way you can think to prove who you are?
Yeah, maybe.
That's the timer.
Cool. I'm done. So,
Me too.
do you want to read yours first?
Maybe. This is
Maybe.
right. So I ended up writing down. I didn't have one specific idea, so I have 5 ideas that I wrote down that
Mm-hmm.
could all be possible solutions. So I'll just read them in order. So
Yep.
my first idea to deal with this stripey wipey problem, I would put together a team to create glasses and contact lenses that make stripes show up as something different when you're wearing them. So you could maybe also do like laser eye surgery. So I guess the stripes would still exist, but no one would be able to see stripes anymore. But that could also be a problem since
Mm.
suddenly you would never be able to see a stripe again. And I feel like that might cause issues in certain parts of life that you don't
Wow.
expect. Even like a zebra
Yeah.
crossing, someone who may actually want to wear stripes. There's a lot flags that have stripes on them. Suddenly things are going to get a little confusing. So it's maybe not the best idea. Idea number 2 was a petition. I'll do a petition to make stripes illegal. That could again
Oh.
have the same sort of problem, but I thought that maybe it would just make everyone become nudists, which isn't ideal. I don't think everyone should be nudists, but if it's between that or everyone only wearing stripes, I think I would rather everyone was a nudist.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, fuck stripes. Especially like there are some stripes are worse. Vertical stripes are worse. Horizontal ones aren't as
Is
bad.
it?
Yeah, those ones are worse. Yeah,
Well,
fuck
that's
stripes.
actually okay.
My idea number 3 is a cliche one, but it'll work. Murder stripey wipey.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, maybe the damage can't be undone that way. Maybe he has to actually do it himself. I don't know,
Mm.
but it's a thought. Number
Mhm.
4, I could make an anti-stripe gun that destroys stripes. I don't know
Mm.
how well that works. I feel like
Pew.
yeah, but maybe I shoot the stripes. I don't know what that really means because if every single piece of material has just got stripes on it, then I guess I'm just destroying the material rather than destroying the stripes. I don't know. Because
Hmm.
he could just turn that material.
Interesting.
Even if my gun turned it into something else, he could just be like snapping his fingers, turn it back to stripes again. Finally,
Mhm.
my last idea, I think this is probably the best one. I will eradicate all but one zebra that's on Earth. They're obviously Stripey Wipey's favorite animal since they are stripy. I will then trade the final zebra to him if he undoes the stripe catastrophe. And if he does not agree, then I will
Ooh.
kill the zebra and he won't be able to live with himself. And eventually we will be able to defeat him because he will be depressed.
I knew you'd come up with some weird ass shit for this, and that's exactly what you did. So good job.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I definitely think my last or maybe bees could work as
I
well.
think
They're
the
stripy.
first I think the first one was the coolest,
Yeah, but
but the last one was the funniest.
the first one's not really solving the problem. You're just it's delusion. You're just pretending that you fixed it.
Yeah, but that's so it's so yeah, it was very like
And it's going to cause issues with actual stripes that you suddenly can't see anymore.
true, maybe. Unless you just only don't see stripes on clothes.
That would be really hard to do. Although, I
True.
mean, this is superpowers. This is fake, so it's. I guess it. We can we can
Maybe
we can make
could
the
work.
rules. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's hear your solution to the doppelganger, the shapeshifter.
My solutions are kind of bad, but yeah, I would take some time to chill and let the doppelganger do whatever they want. I'd travel, lie on a beach somewhere with a drink in my hand, and catch a break. When I get tired of that, I'll start thinking of a plan. Since the doppelganger has all information on me up until the point they transformed into me, I assume, which means that the thoughts I have now are different from the shapeshifters.
Mhm.
So I probably do something different to the shapeshifter. Um, and I take some shrooms, get an epiphany, and either convince my mom somehow or just end up killing the doppelganger. Most likely in their very long and deep sleep. Because if they act like me, they sleep like me. So it would be very easy to kill this person in
I
their sleep.
I like that, but you have to remember if they're thinking like you, they're also going to be thinking that exact same thing about you. So they might not wait. They might
Mm.
think she knows that I sleep so long, so she could
Mm.
kill me in my sleep. What if I'm going to do that to her before she gets the chance to do it to me?
Yeah, but it's just the thought of like who is doing it first. But I went on a vacation, right?
True.
So I'd be like long far away, long gone. They don't know where I am and they don't know when I'm coming back, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be careful about like my location and like being
I love how you turned it into a positive. I really like that. I like how you said, actually, it might be cool to have the doppelganger live in my life for a little bit. I can have no
yeah.
responsibility. I can go off and do other things. Let them live that life. I can have a good time. I like how you had throw that little spin in there.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good way to handle that. You took a bad thing and you were like, you know what? Let's take advantage of that for a little bit.
Yeah, because why not? Like someone else is you. You can just actually do what you want then.
Yeah,
Like they're dealing with all your stuff
unless they're
because they
just
know everything about your life,
Unless they're just, like, cashing in your bank accounts and
ruining it.
selling all your stuff and then moving away.
But you said like about my mom, so it seems like they want to be me.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's fair.
I thought like they want to be me, they
Yeah,
want to live my life,
yeah,
so I'll let them do that. But
yeah.
if they actually just wanted to take my stuff, I would I would square up. I would square up. Who would win though? Because we're the exact same.
It probably depends on who hits first.
Yeah, I'd hit
Or
first.
if your cat decides that she likes one of you better than the other.
Yeah, maybe we smell different.
Well, it
That's
depends, like,
maybe she
maybe
can
you're
smell
wearing different clothes or you put on a different perfume or something, so the
it.
cat's like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I like that smell or I don't like that one." Or which one of you fed
Mm.
her this morning?
True.
Uh,
True.
I also liked your part where you said about you're just going to go on shrooms and get an epiphany and then convince your mom somehow. And now I'm just imagining you're going to turn up at the house. You've been gone for a year on vacation, just chilling. You turn up like, I've had enough. I've been on shrooms. You turn up, and this crazy person arrives at the door and knock. Oh
Mm.
my God, why do you look just like my daughter who's in the living room right now? And
Mhm.
you're like, Mom, you got to hear me out. This person's impersonating me. And she's going to be like, who the fuck is this crazy bitch? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And the person inside's like, and they're going to be just as convincing as you. But this person
Mhm.
just is going to be ranting and raving at the
Or
door.
just as not convincing. We're both not convincing,
Yeah.
probably. I would not be very convincing, but neither would the doppelganger.
I
So
want to see that now. I just want to see
mhm.
that happen.
Each of us would be like, no, no, actually, it's me.
I'm
Actually,
convinced.
it's me.
I'm so
So
convinced.
yeah, right.
That's great. That's really great. Okay.
So great.
That was
Anyways,
fun.
yeah,
I liked
that
the
was fun.
this has been a really fun episode. I've enjoyed this
hmm
entire episode. Everything was fun. The
Me
haikus were great. We both
too.
did
hmm
good haikus. We both did great
hmm
stories. They were both fun stories. They were
Yeah.
both a lot of good. The challenge, the game at the end, all great. This has been my favorite episode so far. I hope it reflects that
Oh,
when I watch it, like when I'm editing it.
yeah.
I hope it reflects that because I really did enjoy this one. It's just been
Me
great.
too. It was very
It's
fun.
flowed so well, and it's our fastest
hmm
recording as well, and we've just hit it all out with
hmm
less stops, less stumbling over words. We've
hmm
just been on it for this one.
Damn.
Yeah, this has been really good. But yeah, as per usual, everyone watching, make sure to go check out all of our socials, whether our Twitter, our Instagram, also our Discord. Go into there and share your own work. You can join in with a lot of the challenges we've been doing. Join in with our other weeks as well. Even share your own unrelated work as well there if you want.
Have a good week, people. See you next time.
Stripey Wipey and Peacock Man, peace out.